Hey everyone, you're listening to the Tea with Tanya podcast, and I'm your host, Tanya Ambrose. I'm a public health professional by day and your average tea-loving millennial and content creator by night. My goal for this podcast is to share public health stories, self-love and wellness tips to educate and empower and to promote positive living. This podcast is here to serve you. Join me in the tea tasting room to see what I have brewing for you. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Tea with Tanya podcast, where we talk about self-love, wellness tips, promoting positive living, and of course, sharing public health stories. Now, today's episode is going to be a bit short because I want to talk about something, but I want to go in depth on another episode. But I definitely want to touch a little bit because I had this realization, a few days ago in conversation with somebody else. I was like, okay, this is kind of coming together. It's making sense. And as you can tell by the title of this episode, we're talking about being honest in therapy or being honest with our therapist, sorry. Now, for me, I've been in therapy now, and I'm thinking about it for a little bit over a year. Well, just a year. A year and let's say 2 weeks. Well, let's say a year. I'm not going to add on 2 weeks and all that stuff. But I've been in therapy for about a year, and I have gotten tools to deal with certain things, how to cope and whatnot. But then I was thinking to myself, there's an aspect of an area in my life that I really do want to work on, I want to tackle, but for some reason I realized that I've been dancing around or skirting around the particular issue. For whatever reason, I'm still trying to think about that reason, to be honest. But I was having a conversation with a friend and, explaining something to them, and they were like, are you even honest? Have you been honest in your therapy sessions? And I looked at the person, I got slightly offended because I am who I am, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes when people are telling me the truth or they're asking me the hard questions, I go into a shell or I get offended. So in that moment, I was like, what do you mean? That's the point of me going to therapy, is for me to be honest, for me to get my life fixed and all these different things. And it dawned on me that there were some things that I really was not being honest about with my therapist, and so that's what I want to talk about today. Like I said, it's going to be a very short episode. It's going to be like a precursor, prelude, whatever you want to call it, to the follow-up episode. But definitely I want to talk about why I personally have not been honest in therapy, and why maybe you may not be honest. I'm sure maybe you may be able to relate some way, shape, or form. But 2 reasons why we're not honest with our therapist, and basically how we need to get out of that, to get ourselves together. Because at the end of the day, therapy ain't cheap. Not every insurance covers therapy, and you don't want to lose or not, find out your purpose or get your money's worth or just become a better person because you were not honest. Again, the goal is to be honest in therapy. Now, there are 2 reasons why. One, I want to say, for me, the number one thing is afraid of being judged. Now, I can recall even in some therapy sessions when, we're getting really deep and I'm expressing certain things, I was like, oh, please don't judge me. Please don't judge me. Like, I'll always say that before finishing saying what I'm saying. And it's just like, again, I personally feel like as therapists, they're trained professionals. They know how to separate. They know how to, or they should not let you feel bad for anything that happens in your life or what you're telling them. So one of the reasons why I feel like I have not been honest in therapy is because, I am or was afraid of being judged for my past mistakes or my thought process or the way I think, and maybe sometimes because I lack confidence or I just been speaking negative about my life, or I feel like whatever I would have done to get to where I am now, it's not good enough. So that's one of the things, is being afraid of their judgment. And I feel like, sometimes I gotta ask myself, and you should ask yourself too, what is making me feel this way? Because again, you took the step to take or start therapy. So why do we need to feel like said therapist is gonna judge us? She's like, what have I done? What have you done? And then also, am I projecting from other relationships? Because I've been finding out about myself. I tend to project a lot. I have really been discovering that about myself. So again, me projecting, oh, they're gonna judge me. It's gonna be a projection because again, they are licensed and trained professionals here to help us. And then the other thing is, And I feel like that too, sometimes again, when I feel like being afraid of being judged, like, are you going to use my pain and my past mistakes to shame me, to make me feel bad? Like, that has been a thought. That's not how my therapist is, but I'll be honest. That has been my thought, and it's been a reason why I have not been as honest as I know I can be, and I would like to be in therapy. And then the next thing too, and I think that's a big thing for me, is not being ready for certain changes or to make certain changes in my life. Because, I got one foot in the door, one foot out, one foot in the door, one foot out. You guys should see me here, like one foot in, one foot out, doing a little dance. But it's like, okay, Tanya, or you know how, or you should make this change, but yet still you don't, for whatever reason that is unacceptable. Transition and change is hard. Let me tell you guys, it is so freaking hard. And also it takes a while for us to, get into action. So definitely, like I said, you got to be ready to make certain changes in your life. Sometimes you already know, and you already made a decision, like myself, but you're still holding back. Again, like I say, one foot in, one foot out, because again, change is uncomfortable, and that's something we don't talk about. Change is very, very uncomfortable. So like I said, it's going to be a short episode, like a little prelude, but definitely just sharing two reasons as to why I think that we are not honest in therapy. And for those of you who are thinking about going to therapy, definitely do that. Do your research and everything, but make sure that you're ready to be honest and talk about the hard things. Doesn't matter how bad we may think it is. Our therapists, they're licensed professional. They're here to help us as we help ourselves. Like, helping ourselves is the first step by going to therapy. So definitely make sure you are ready to be honest. So like I said, two things that are preventing us or are affecting or have an effect on as to why we're not honest with our therapist is that we're afraid of being judged, and also because we're not ready to make certain changes in our life. So of course, remember that they're here to help us, they're here to help you, and change is uncomfortable, but sometimes very, very necessary. So I hope some of you listening here could relate to you in your therapy session, or even on your quest to start in therapy. But like I said, I'll definitely see you in the next episode, which much longer, and we're going to depth with another guest. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And before I go, I definitely want to say thank you to you guys who've been, sharing the podcast on your Instagram, definitely listening, because I've been seeing an increase in my listening views here. Listening views, not even a thing, but what, streams, whatever you want to call it. But definitely thank you for listening. I'll definitely see you in another episode of the Tea with Tanya podcast.